Hello, Gopal.
Hi.
Hi. I've been following your videos online for quite some time, and it was quite a revelation for me. And now that I'm here in Israel during the Corona with friends, I really have the urge to spread your knowledge or the knowledge you're spreading in the English realm. So that's the reason for this interview now.
Okay, very welcome.
I would jump right into the matter, straight into the matter of the theory, which is the Polyvagal Theory and trauma theory. And maybe you could give us a short overview about what is actually happening, what is trauma, and this theory.
This theory is not mine. It's from Dr. Stephen Porges. He has developed it. And it is a very complex theory which explains many areas of our physical changes in the body in relation to contact and threat. And also it explains our development from the evolutionary point of view. So it's a very holistic view. It explains many things which have been a riddle so far, and it is for many professions who work with people, it's like they say, oh my God, wow, that's it. That's what I experienced with my clients, and I could not explain it. And now I have the explanation, and it makes all sense. So it is, it's very helpful. And we cannot discuss all the theory in all together. It's too complex and it's too much. But for our daily life and especially our relationships, it is important. And it gives us a very simple map of what happens between us in relationships, during contact, like now, and also what happens if we feel threat or danger. For example, the interaction between humans seem to be complex, but with the polyvagal theory, things become very simple because it says that actually our body, our autonomous nervous system, has only 3 states, and these states is safety, danger, and life threat. And everything can be derived from that. Our mental state, the way we behave in relation to others, it all depends on these states. It's like the basis of our behavior and our experiences. For example, if the body, if the autonomous nervous system is in a state of safety, which means that the body thinks that the environment is safe, then we are able to interact with others in a loving way, in an open way, and we are able to live our relationships. If the body thinks that the environment is dangerous, then everything changes. The physiology, the physiology of the body, and also the capability of getting in contact with others changes completely, because the body now wants to defend itself, and this defense has other requirements. For example, complex cortical functions like time and social engagement, social interaction is not needed in a situation in which the body is in danger. So these parts of the brain are, let's say, switched off almost, and we lose the capability to interact in a in a loving way, in a normal way. So everything is becomes a fight, even with people who are not really a threat to us. But if the body is in that state, he's completely in a mood to fight or flight, and this destroys in a way the interaction. And the third state is, we can call it shutdown, where the body thinks it is in life threat and it cannot move or cannot fight or flight. And this is called the free state. And yeah, and then all capabilities of social interactions are almost switched off.
So the theory goes that this system is kind of made in the childhood, or is imprinted. Like the information for this system is imprinted in childhood. That's where trauma comes from.
Not necessarily. The polyvagal theory just describes reaction to environments. The part which I described now is simply what the body does in certain environments, in a safe environment, in a potential dangerous environment, in an environment with life threat. So it describes what the body is doing, and this makes sense because if there's a real threat, the body must fight or flight. So it's not a description of trauma. It's a description of the normal function of the body. Trauma is something that is something else. Trauma means that the physical state, and there are just two states which are not normal, let's say that. This is the second state, which means a potential threat or potential danger, and the third state, life threat and not being able to move. And these two states again make sense in a corresponding environment. But what trauma is that the body remains in one of these states, but the environment does not fit to it. For example, if you have experienced childhood trauma, it is possible that the body still thinks the environment is dangerous, and you're sitting as a grown-up in a cafe or restaurant and there's no threat at all, but the body still thinks it is in danger and constantly is activated for fight or flight. So trauma just means that the physical state has no correspondence to the reality today. I summarize a developmental trauma like that, to make it very simple. And from this physical state, every problem, every mental disease, everything derives.
Like the feeling of stress and anxiety in the body. Yeah, because the system thinks that this is a dangerous situation. Yeah, in that sense, like in my perception, like the world is full of this. Like all the human interactions are very much full of these feelings. When I observe myself, I can see I feel a lot of anxiety often in human contact.
Yeah.
No, please.
Yeah. The whole world lives in trauma. The whole society, we are completely traumatized. We live in a traumatized society. It is like a sleep state. All the nervous systems think that other humans are dangerous or that the environment is dangerous. And this is created in the childhood because actually there's no threat, actually. Actually, the human body does not want to fight or flight. It, especially not against within the same species. It doesn't make sense. But it is so deeply ingrained that that our psyche is not able to see that. It appears real. The world we see today is a projection of our distorted nervous systems. It's not the reality, actually. It's our projection. We see it at the outside. We see war on the outside, and this is the war in our nervous systems. And what you say is anxiety and fear. What this actually is that the body thinks the environment is dangerous, and actually the body wants to fight or flight. And at the same time, the body says, no, I can't. So we don't do it. We don't do that, and we don't channel that energy into the body for fight or flight, for movement. And if we do that, if we block that energy, then we experience that what we call fear. Fear actually does not exist. Fear is the blockage of rage, of anger, of body movement. And if we refuse to do that, then we experience that. And of course, it has a reason why this is suppressed. If it is based on a real experience in the childhood. So the body had to block it because in the childhood it was dangerous to allow that movement. So the body has the body created a mechanism that automates that. And now today we just say, I have fear, and I want to get rid of the fear. And this is what many people want. They suffer from fear, anxiety, and panic attacks and want relaxation and peace. And if you know the Polyvagal Theory, you understand that this is not possible like that, because there's a missing part. The missing part is your life force, your energy, your power, your ability to fight and react and defend. And as long as people do not want to access that, they have no chance to get rid of fear and panic. It's impossible. So to dissolve that, the main point is to access aggression, hate, and rage. This is the solution not only for fear and anxiety, but also for depression, because depression comes after fear and anxiety is kept too long in the body, then the system starts collapsing, and we call that depression.
This is actually the topic I wanted to get to, anger, hatred, and the expression of that. But there's another question I wanted to ask you first, which came up in what you said before, which is why does the child experience it as so dangerous? Why is it like you always say it's a threat to life?
Yeah.
But in reality, also it's actually not like that.
No, it is. It is. If you are a small baby and your mother hates you because you are angry and says, no, I don't feed you anymore, then your life is over. You fully depend on the parents. You have no chance to defend, to go anywhere else. That is the reality, and that's why it makes sense. Trauma makes sense because the situation where the trauma was created, it is the response of the body to a real situation. So it is not nonsense what the system does. It is the only way to survive. Yeah, if parents are not able to allow the aggression and autonomy of their child and get angry themselves and start beating or whatever, then the body of the child has to decide. Either I continue with that and I may die, or I suppress it and survive.
So when we see babies in rage, like, because I know parents, they have kids and sometimes the kid gets really angry and screams. So that means that the kid actually thinks, or the nervous system checked the environment and says, it's actually safe to do that, because otherwise he wouldn't express anger.
Yeah. If you see that, the system still says that it is possible and it is safe to do that. And if the child experiences bad reaction, for example, neglect or aggression, then it will slowly stop that. But the energy cannot be stopped. The child can stop the direct expression, but the energy as such cannot be stopped. So it moves into physical symptoms, illnesses, addiction, depression, self-destruction. Yeah.
So how can a parent deal with an enraged child, for example?
The most important thing is that parents start to work with themselves. The problem is not on the outside. That's what I see. Parents always come and say, my child, no, not your child. You have the problem. You have suppressed your own anger, your own rage, your own desires and wishes and longings. Please start working with yourself. The child is just a place or just a possibility to channel suppressed energy. So
the child reacts on the parent, actually.
Yeah, not only reacts, it tries to balance the whole system. Yeah, it's like it's like a healer. Yeah, trying to do the impossible to balance distorted nervous system. It does that to survive. It's not. It needs a balanced system. So it does that for its own, that it can survive, even if it destroys itself by that.
So the child is actually the only one in this traumatized field that is still connected to the whole, actually, to the field, what's happening around, like emotionally, energetically, and is taking care of the whole field because it perceives itself as a big part of it, or as the same. Maybe it needs a good surrounding also.
No, it does that because it is threatened by imbalanced nervous system. The child needs healthy and balanced nervous system to grow, and if this is not the case, it has to do something to survive. And in an attempt to balance its surrounding to survive, it tries everything, that it does not get negative reactions from the parents. It is completely crazy because it has to be the other way around. The baby is the one who needs care, not the parents. The baby is not a healer. It comes into the family and needs care. But this is what happens very seldomly. Yeah. This is the baby is not there to heal the parents. Oh my God, please.
Yeah. Wow, this just makes me think of how fucked up the world is.
Yeah, it's absolutely fucked up.
Like, of how many parents that use their child to do exactly what you said, like to make them feel better, or like.
Yeah, they use their child to externalize their own suppressed feelings whatsoever, and that's why how to say that, it has also an energetic dimension, because the baby is like, it's just light, like light and energy, and everything you have not solved in yourself is almost sucked into that automatically, and then the parents feel good, feel well, and say, oh, I love my child. Yeah, they love their child because they feel a release, but this release has a high price because it has an effect on the growth of the baby. This organism is not a spiritual master to absorb all this shit. Absolutely not. And the most important thing is if parents start to work on themselves. Why do I love my child? Why do I need my child?
Wow. Brings me to another question, but it was obvious that the whole world should be doing trauma therapy in this sense.
Yeah, that's what I would like to establish. I mean, we don't have to call it trauma therapy. We could start I would start with pregnant mothers. I would start with them to teach them, or to help them to understand all that, and then we could go to schools and we need teachers who know all about that, and then we have to install templates in the nervous systems of our children, which allows them to deal with that automatically. So that as soon as they are grown up, they have all that in their nervous system automatically. How to deal with dysregulation, how to solve conflicts without fight, and so on and so on. And this happens if we have teachers who can live that the children can see that, how that works.
That's actually the idea of a new culture. Yeah. It leads me to a lot of other thoughts, but the trail of thoughts brought me first to like the way the world is now, that so many people, and even myself, like I've been looking into my trauma, when they hit the core wound, or like maybe not even the core, but the first very painful feelings, or anger, rage, why are so many people afraid of that? Like I remember when I've been tapping into my anger, and welcoming it also, and doing like Osho meditation and other emotional release practices to like, and by then I just through that I started to realize, oh, there is actually anger. I didn't know that before.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you have to want to go this path. You really have to want to do it.
I mean, if they're suffering, I can offer a solution, or one possible solution. If they're suffering and someone doesn't want to end the suffering, we can't do anything. But today the knowledge is there. We really can change it because we have understood it. And the reason why it is so threatening is that because in your childhood it was life-threatening. If the connection, if the attachment is threatened by your rage, then in your nervous system, two things come together which actually don't belong together: rage and life threat. Because the loss of attachment is like dying for a child. So you suppress it, and then later on, if you again access that, it comes up together, because if you access one part, the other part is also triggered. So if you access the rage, automatically the fear and the panic comes, because it was dangerous, but now today it is not dangerous anymore. But the perception and what comes up feels so real, that we are almost unable to decide to allow that. And another thing is, because you told Osho meditation, this is a starting point, can be, but the solution is always in contact with other people. We cannot heal and transform alone. It is not possible. The solution is that, for example, if you have suppressed your rage and anger, that you experience in deep, long relationships, or at least one, that your rage and anger is welcome, and that you are welcome, and that the attachment is not interrupted if you want something different.
Which attachment? You mean the relationship?
To your partner, for example, to the partner. If you experience that your rage and your desires, which are behind that, are welcome in that relationship, this is the transformation. If this information reaches the whole system, then your childhood, you have left your childhood actually. And this process feels like dying. Because again, if you access that in a deep relationship, the fear comes, and for the child it may have been fear of death. So to go that way means you go through your ego death. It's not easy. It's really, yeah. It's not a simple thing.
Yeah. What if I experienced a situation, for example, where I was angry at my girlfriend, and I created exactly what I was afraid of, like I hurt her, for example.
Yeah.
And then I had the feeling I can't do that. I can't express my anger because she's hurt. So
Yeah,
what I'm saying is we recreate our
of course.
trauma situation.
Of course. As long as you act out or act in, you create all your childhood, all the way, all the time, 24 hours. And she has the same trauma, just living the other pole. And so couples come together, and then they live in their childhood and do the same and the same and the same. And the exit is that we stop acting it out or acting it in, which means if you hurt your partner, this is acting out. If you get drunk, is acting in, or getting depressed, yeah, or hurting yourself, is acting in. This is not working. We have to stop that and start to communicate. And communicate means, honest communication means that you begin to tell the truth about your inner state. For example, instead of hurting your partner, you could say, I feel very angry now.
Yeah, but if there's the emotional load, the partner will still feel the anger, right?
If you communicate, then there will be no load transfer to the partner. Transferring is what you're describing now is acting it out energetically. Yeah, it is possible. Yeah, but this happens only of all this acting out on any level happens only to that what is not being communicated. If you communicate what is there, there's nothing that hurts your partner. If you communicate your state, I'm feeling so much hate right now. It's like I would like to explode. Then nothing will happen. And then your partner say, oh, I'm also full of hate shit. Or I fear that, or whatever. Then both systems get real information, because if you acting out or acting in, your partner does not get informed about yourself. If you hit someone, this one does not know what's going on inside you. So the solution for all these problems, for all these problems on this planet, is to start honest communication. This will cut and destroy all problems on the individual level, on the collective, even of the planet as a whole. This is really the key, and it is nothing complicated. We start trying to tell something about ourselves, and this means mainly to communicate the emotions, and then we don't have to act out or act in. If you say I'm feeling very sad, or I'm feeling very happy, or I need whatever, then the communication begins.
For me, like, it is really hard not to act out, or why do we all want to act out so much?
Because in a real danger, you have to act out. If you are threatened, if it's really dangerous, you have to act out. If there's an animal or a robber or whatever, you don't meditate, you don't communicate, you fight or flight. And because the system thinks there's a real threat, you can look yourself. If there's a conflict with your partner, there's only a very small part of the consciousness who knows that actually there's nothing. But the whole body says it is about life and death, and I'm in a big danger and have to fight or flight. So, but it has no reality on the outside anymore.
And then I would also like to talk about the thoughts that happen while we experience these emotions, because the thoughts kind of make the story for the emotions.
Yeah. So it is like that. If you cannot act out, you cannot act in, and you don't communicate, then what to do? What with the energy? It will go on strange paths. One possibility is to go into the body, which is actually also a way of acting out. For example, many women, for example, do that. They hate their partner, and they get, what do they get? Migraine. So they don't feel the hate anymore, but they have migraine.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a channel through the body, through illnesses. And illnesses are always like that. Illnesses are emotions which are suppressed. And there are people who get even farther. They create accidents. So it's even far away, even away from the body. And another possibility is to direct the energy into the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have, for example, I don't know the English word for Zwangsgedanken.
Compulsive
thoughts, compulsive thinking. Yeah. So this is a possibility for the organism to channel this energy. At least in the mind, it is possible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, for example, you don't. Oh, I'm peaceful. I don't have rage, but strangely, I always think about beating someone. Mm-hmm. It's only mental. But if we want to stop that, if we don't want diseases, if we don't want to mind fuck, and we want to stop violence to others and ourselves, then we have to force ourselves to start honest communication. And if we don't want that, if you prefer to fight, then yeah, you continue your childhood.
For me it seems a lot of structures couldn't be sustained if we start that, because things would get so unstable. You know what I mean? Because it destabilizes, and it takes a lot of effort it's basically doing a group therapy.
I don't understand what you mean. If you start honest communication, that it gets shaky, or
if I take it to a global perspective, and the humanity would start doing that, so much things would come up that people wouldn't go to work anymore, or we would be only focused on healing.
No, I don't think so. I don't
know.
No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. I see that in the group processes, if someone starts the first time to tell something about the inner movements, it immediately creates a release and a relief, and the person has more energy, is more alive, and is more capable of interaction, and there's absolutely no need to stop going to work. It's the opposite. What happens is that people can't do any shit anymore what they don't like. That's of course this will happen. So if someone goes to the office every day and is more or less a corpse, and then he or she wakes up and the life comes back and she realizes what she's doing there, of course, then she can't continue with that. And like that, the planet will change, of course. But what changes, what disappears, is only the dark structures, the ugly stuff. And there maybe okay, if there are some deeper processes, okay, we maybe need some one or few days to process it, or even if we need 1 or 2 or 3 weeks off, it's not a problem. But I don't think that everything collapses. Absolutely not. The opposite will happen. If we don't do that, then everything will collapse sooner or later, because everyone is doing something he or she doesn't want actually, and this leads into total disaster.
Actually, it led me to a funny thought that this time, the Corona times, is actually a great time to start this, because nobody's working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Honest sharing groups. I have a question about communities, about like people of people deciding to live together, and group dynamics, because it what you describe is very much on a personal level, I feel. And I live in a community right now, and things get really messy emotionally sometimes. Like structures communicating with each other, and we've tried one group process, and the funny thing is I felt it didn't go as deep as, for example, a group process I attended in Germany, where I didn't know anyone.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Why is that?
Yeah, because if you don't know the people and you have no dependency to them, it is more safe, and then you can open more.
Mm-hmm.
If you live together with people and there's a great dependency, because they can say they can throw you out, or there can be conflicts. You depend on them and they depend on you. So it's more dangerous from the nervous system point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And the point is, with communities, this only works if really everyone wants the transformation. This is the starting point. If there's someone who doesn't want that, it doesn't work. You will have conflicts, and yeah, the basis is that everyone wants to do this transformation, and this is enough. This is enough. If everyone wants that, and then you can do the group process, and it is difficult at the beginning, but if all of you want that and force themselves not to run away and not to act out, then the transformation will happen. And when this happened, when in every member of the community, the core conflict of the childhood is solved, then everything is silent. All this turmoil is only because the systems carry their childhood trauma and want to dissolve that with the community, but in a way that doesn't work. So everyone tries to deal with all that comes up, and we have a total chaos.
Yeah,
I know that because in some communities I visited, there, for example, is a small part who absolutely are committed to transforming themselves and do everything, and the rest doesn't want it. So and this doesn't work. This is like two directions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it brings me to the point that you have to want to go this path.
Absolutely, because it needs the whole energy. You need everything. You go through a death. It's really like that.
Yeah, and then there's often in communities there are people that want to actually do projects or do permaculture, and that this is their main focus, and they say, hey, don't interrupt my thing here. Like, I want to do this.
Yeah,
I don't want to focus on like my psyche or stuff like this.
yeah, that's the problem. And this is natural because they use that to balance them. Yeah, it's a way to avoid contact. It's a way, if they force on, how is it called, permaculture or
yeah, ecology,
ecology,
permaculture. Yeah.
this is a possibility to move away from relationships and deal with something as a replacement which does not interact like humans and which really gives me also energy. If you dig in the garden, you have a kind of, it's a little bit like a healing process, but it doesn't solve the core problem. And in every community there will be people who are how to say that, who doesn't want that in the same way as others. But if those people at least say, okay, once a week I take part in the group process, but the rest of the week I do my garden and stuff, that's okay. But if they refuse, then the community is lost.
And then also there's like a lot of different kind of healing work.
Yeah,
like
there is no different kind of healing works because we have only one problem and we have only one solution. These many forms of healing works is because we don't yet really understand what's the point. The point is that everyone suppresses areas in himself from childhood, and if they are communicated, then the transformation has happened, and that's all. And we do that in a safe way so that we can honestly share what that is, what happens between us, and that's it. We don't need complex healing methods and energy work and all that. We don't need that. It's much simpler. And these healing methods is also to work with that is also or can be a way to avoid contact. If I'm a great healer and do energy work, I don't have to tell the community that I'm feeling completely lost, helpless, and alone. And both levels can be there. There can be a great healer and full of child trauma. It can both be there, and this makes it very difficult because it's so easy to jump on the energy level and start doing things, yoga and healing work and whatever. But what happens between us is never communicated.
And this is the most scary part, actually.
Yeah, because it was scary in the childhood, but today it isn't scary because the other one wants the same. It just feels like that.
Like when I imagine someone and I just walk up to him and say, hey, I'm scared of you, many people would react. They would react with pushing me away.
Yes, of course. You can't do that. Like you cannot just go on the street and say, hey, you there? I'm scared of you. This is not how it works. You need safe relationships. And there, Stephen Porges described the process from getting in contact, opening himself and getting into a deep relationship. And if we have trauma, many people skip parts. For example, they are completely separated and someone appears and they immediately jump into a dependent relationship, very close. But they still don't know if this person is safe or is sensitive. The need is so big that they jump into it. So the transformation happens in safe environments. And this is what many people tell me. They tell me, oh, I was on the street and there was a whatever, and I tried honest communication. No, honest communication is not done at the working place. It is not done in dangerous environments at the night or whatsoever. It is done in close relationships at home where it is safe. There we can practice that.
Yeah, a lot of time, for example, when I first saw your videos about honest communication, this was the only thing I wanted to do. Like, I was actually pretty judgmental about other types of communication forms. So I think I tried, or what I often still do is I feel a pain or a suffering in myself, and then because I've experienced when I communicate honestly that it goes away. So I try to do that.
Okay.
And but I mean, it doesn't really work, because not always. It just works when there's trust, and when people are committed to intimate connection.
Yeah, you can do that with everyone. This is
so we still have to hold a certain kind of suffering in ourselves when we are not in a safe environment.
No. This now what you're telling, now this really, now you're putting your childhood on the reality today, because what you're telling now is that it is not possible to find a safe relationship. Yeah, and this is not true. You are grown up. You can do whatever you want. You can contact the whole world, therapists online, whatsoever. This is the lie.
No, I meant in the day-to-day life. I didn't mean like at home. I mean like when I'm going to the shop.
Yeah.
Then I can't do it, right?
You can.
Oh, okay.
Of course you can. You put your mobile and call your girlfriend. And in the extremes, you could call the doctor or the emergency. It is not true. This is the programming of the childhood.
Yes, but if I, for example, like if I go shopping, and the cashier has a bad mood, and like I get into a trauma situation, then I can't communicate with the cashier.
Yeah, of course not.
That is selling me.
Yeah, of course it is a dangerous situation, but there's no problem if you are able to act out and to defend or to attack this person. Then you suppress nothing. There's no problem. If you say to this man, "Fuck up, you asshole," then it's fine for the body. Mm-hmm. If you suppress it, then you have a problem. So in this situation, you have to act. You have to say, no, you don't talk to me like that. Mm-hmm. I want to talk to your boss right now. So in situations which are not safe and there's a threat, you defend or attack, or you can of course do that also on the verbal level. Yeah, you don't have to pull a gun or something. You can defend with words. Mm-hmm. And in safe environments with safe relationships, you practice honest communication. This is really important to distinguish, because it always gets mixed, because in the childhood it was mixed. In the childhood, the environment is safe, at the same time it's threatening. So the child depends on one environment, and it changes. So, and this is why it gets all mixed up. But today, it is not the same. Either we are in threat or we are safe. There's nothing mixed up. An attacker on the street doesn't want to communicate with you. He has no interest in deepening the relationship to you. And you also don't want to talk to this person. And your girlfriend, on the opposite, if she's angry, she is still interested in deepening the relationship. And she and you want to communicate and deepen the exchange. So this is safe. Even if someone gets angry, it's still safe.
But sometimes I get so angry, for example, that I seriously start to doubt if I want to be with her. And if I communicate that is a threat to the relationship, isn't it?
No. Nothing is a threat to a relationship. No, this is not true. It was a threat to the relationship as you have been a child to your parents. And if it is so strong, that means that there's so much what you have not communicated. Yeah, it's like it explodes. But it can only explode if you suppress it for a long time. And behind all that is desire, longings. And you have to communicate what you want. There's something you deeply need and you don't get it. And maybe it's just because you don't have it. And if the girlfriend, the partner, is not able to hear that and is not interested in honest communication, it can be then we have to separate. And actually there's no separation because there's no connection in the first place.
Yeah.
The rage is really important. It is the path, if at all levels of distortion, rage, anger is the entry point for healing and transformation for most of the people.
I can feel that. I have a longing to express that.
Yeah.
Even.
But do it in words. Communicate it. Don't act it out. I feel very angry now. I feel really hate. You don't even have to address your partner. You can remain with yourself. I'm absolutely full of hate. And then sooner or later you will realize what is behind that actually.
Yeah. So what you're saying is kind of leaving also away the story of the mind, because my mind tells me my hate is justified because I saw something I didn't like. And if I stick to that, I'm like, I start to judge the other person. Like,
yeah, this is the attempt to deal with your turmoil. This doesn't help. What you can do is you can communicate the mental content as well, but this is not so easy. And there's the danger that you get lost into that. We have to start with we have to focus on the emotions. And if you do that, you don't need any story. If you do that, I'm full of hate, then you don't need to try to mentally regulate all this. Yeah, then it gets calmer. And later on, of course, you can also communicate the mental level. My head tells me now that I'm right. Or my head tells me, or there are right now there are thoughts that say that you are wrong and I'm right. And stuff like that.
That takes a lot of awareness, and also you need to be willing to drop that. I guess that's why you said it's the death of the ego, because you need to be willing to really expose that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I created this local group process. I even created the sentences how to start on the sheet on my webpage. So if you don't know how to do that, you can use that sheet, and then it works if you really do that.
Yeah, maybe as to close this interview, we could talk a little bit about your local groups.
Yeah.
That everybody who sees this and says, "Wow, I want to try it," can start a group, invite people, and do the practice of communicating what's really happening.
Yeah, it happened a few years ago. I realized the situation that we don't get enough therapists for everyone who is suffering. So this model, therapist, patients, doesn't work. It doesn't work even for the richest countries of the world. We never have enough therapists for all people who are suffering. So this model is stupid. That's what I realized, and we need something else. And then I meditated and prayed for weeks and months for a solution, and then all of a sudden it appeared in my mind, and the whole project and the process, and it appeared, and I've written it down. And what happened there was that I saw a process which small groups can do on their own without therapists and without spiritual teacher. A very simple group process which transforms all participants. And this is the local group project. And it's very simple. Everyone can do that. And we don't need any master or therapist or specially trained person. And I created a map, and everyone who wants to offer such a group gets a symbol, a heart, and can be found on the internet. And people who live around this area, they see the heart on the map and can contact that person and take part in the process. And so it starts spreading. We have about, I think, about 400 groups, mainly in Germany, of course, but also in India, in US, in Spain. Yeah. So, and it works. It's not something that I created. It was given to me. It was like channeling. It appeared suddenly. All of a sudden, everything appeared, and I can invite everyone to try that. It's really, really powerful. Really, we can. I am sure that we could transform the whole planet with that process, and it just helps us to communicate what's there. It does nothing more. That's all. And if we do that in a circle, in a group, like I described that, then the whole group gets transformed. Yeah, that's the most important thing, I think. Because also the people who do that become independent from me. I'm not needed at all. They do that on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also, of course, for communities, it is very helpful and valuable.
Mm-hmm. There are tools already in community that are used, like sharing circles, for example. They're a bit similar, but they're like, this is what I encounter. They go a lot about I don't experience them to be that direct, to address really what's going on in the moment.
Yeah, there are many structures around like this. How do you call that? Gewaltfreie Kommunikation. I don't know the English word.
Yeah,
it's complex.
nonviolent communication.
Yeah, it's I don't like this. It's too complicated. It's not direct. The direct communication is much more simpler. Yeah, I feel sad, I feel angry, my left knee hurts. In my mind, there are thoughts about the last dinner, and my energy body is expanding. All 4 levels communicated. And this does all. This, if we do that in small groups regularly, it really does, it totally transforms all participants. And it's not something that a human has invented. I don't have invented that. It was given to me. It's not something that my mind created.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to close this interview by saying thank you.
Thank you.
There are many more details that could be said. I know that we haven't been able to shed the light on. But thank you for everything that was said here. And thank you for your work.
Welcome.